What's going on, everyone? Today we are being joined by Dr. Boyce Watkins. We are very happy for him to join us on our platform. Dr. Watkins, thank you for joining us and welcome to the program.
Absolutely, brother. It's my pleasure to be here, and I love the advice show. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to, since you are a financial guru within our community, and we need to pick your brain on some things today in the area of finance. So most people see the title. We have a $1 trillion buying power, but in the black community, we don't benefit from it at all. Why is that?
Because black people are very good at giving their money away. We love supporting our masters, former masters. It's a habit, it's a tradition that we've had for hundreds of years. And to put it more simply, people don't understand the power of money. We have not been trained to understand what money really is. Money is actually capital. Capital is something that is supposed to be used to help you make more money. Meaning, for example, if I take my money and I buy a building and some trucks in a factory, I'm not buying it so I can just live in the factory. I'm buying it so I can use the factory to make money, right? Or even if I buy a cow, I buy the cow so I can get the milk and sell the milk. Well, that's what money is. Money's supposed to be a form of capital that helps you make more money over the long term. It's not supposed to be a form of consumption. Consumption is when you get the money and you say, okay, now I can make even more trips to the mall. The worst examples I can think of, man, are cases of like athletes who've never been trained on financial literacy, who will literally earn $100 million over, say, a 10-12 year period, and will just engage in extravagant amounts of spending that just don't make any sense. And what they don't understand is that when you have that kind of capital on that level, like somebody gives you $100 million, you can turn that into $1 billion in a generation by putting it in the right place. So just reframing how we think about money can be huge in terms of changing the game for us a generation or two from now.
Now, let me ask you, it's something that I've said, many times before. Black people are the most vain people I know because we will spend our last on the most expensive stuff and we can't afford it. Why is it that we as black people have to have the best car, the best clothes, the best hair, the best shoes, but yeah, when you go in a person's house, like say some of these single guys, they got all these nice clothes, but they're sitting on a soapbox inside of their apartment, but they look good. Why is that we have our priorities so screwed up financially?
Because some of us grow up believing deeply in instant gratification and doing things that make you feel good. Like you think about a brother who's got 10 kids and 8 babies mamas. This is clearly not a person who has engaged in long-term thinking or critical thinking. What have they been doing? They've been basically doing what feels good. She looks cute, I'm gonna go have sex with her. And the condom, I don't like this condom, so I'm gonna take it off. Boom, next thing you know, you got a bunch of kids and maybe a bunch of diseases to go with it. Well, the same thing is true when it comes to money. You got some people that think about money as a quick hit. It's like a drug. It's like, I got this money now, I can go get this outfit that's gonna make me feel better about myself. I can get this car that's gonna make me feel like I'm somebody. I can go drop this money at the club, which is gonna make me feel like I'm a successful, important person. And a lot of that really is built on not just the instant gratification component, but also low self-esteem. Black people, we don't love ourselves. We don't love our lives. When your life is miserable and you feel stressed out all the time and you don't feel good about yourself, well, money can kind of be like a temporary way to kind of boost that up a little bit, just like smoking a hit of crack. Think about it. People that get high on drugs, a lot of times they do it to escape their problems. So spending money, having the nicest this and the nicest that might be a way to kind of cover up and mask the fact that you're not happy with your life, you're not happy with yourself, and then once again, just not even understanding the power of that money goes a long way in causing that to happen. Last piece I'll throw in there too is just hopelessness. If you feel that your destiny is to be broke, like you say, hey, I ain't never had nothing, I ain't never gonna have nothing, all I got is this job making $12 an hour, that's all I got. What happens is hopelessness causes you to not plan for the future because you're just thinking, I'm trying to get through today, and if I got a little extra surplus, I'm gonna spend money today on something that's gonna make me feel good right now. And so if you think about it, and it's funny because I actually show just mathematically that if you invest $25 a week, which most people can afford, most people waste 25 a week easy.
Hmm.
You invest $25 a week and you do that over 30 years, you'll have I want to say 150 to $200,000 if you invest that in the stock market, which is enough money for your children to have quite a bit of wealth coming into this world. But when you're hopeless and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm poor, I'm always be poor, it ain't gonna change, then what do? Are you going to really take that little bit of extra money you got and invest it for something that you don't even think is really gonna happen? Or do you take that money, blow it right now, and just say, I don't care?
Let me ask you a question. I'm pretty sure you saw the graph that stated that the black community only keep the money within the community only 6 hours. That's it. When other communities circulated 2 weeks, 21 days, 28 days. I'm pretty sure you know that by the math. I think whites are 14 days, not mistaken. I think the last one was Asians. I think Jewish people was 21 days, if not mistaken. I'm pretty sure you saw that graph.
Yeah.
Now, it's so bad with our consumption that when some of the racists say you all need to go back to Africa, I say, let me tell you something. If all of us go back to Africa today, this country's economy will fall because that's how much money we spend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, people say that black people don't have the ability to create their own jobs, and that's just not. Or they don't have the ability to create jobs, but that's not true. Actually, we create a lot of jobs for other people. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this a lot. If you read Powernomics, things like that. Basically, black people are compared to the wildebeest in Africa. He has a perfect analogy where he says that every year the massive wildebeest migration. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's literally millions of wildebeest going across Africa. He said when the wildebeest are going across Africa, all the predators line up because they know that it's going to be time to eat. They know that when the wildebeest come through, they're going to, the alligators, the lions, everybody is ready to eat. And black people are the same way. When we get money, we don't hold money. We don't keep money in our community. We are looking to find the closest white man that we can give our money to. And we don't care if he's white, Asian, or Arab, or whatever. We'll just give the money away because we're not really thinking that long-term thing. Listen to how people talk about their taxes. Every year when they get their taxes, what do they talk about? Oh, as soon as I get my taxes, I'm gonna get the new blank, right?
Yeah,
And that's a cultural thing. You see, that's the thing people don't understand is that wealth building or wealth losing, if you want to call it that, or wealth deterioration, it all comes from culture and mindset. For example, in Asian culture, saving is huge. You don't go blow your money and throw it up at the club. People gonna look at you like you stupid. So that's why Japanese people. Say it again.
Because you are stupid.
Exactly. So Japanese people, Chinese people, they have some of the highest savings rates in the world because that's just part of their culture. Period. African Americans, unfortunately, our culture is throwing money away. And so ultimately we have to confront the culture and the mentality. So that means, in my opinion, when you see somebody bragging about how much money they threw away, you need to just call it out like that's stupid. Like really. Or even when I talk about the whole baby daddy thing, with guys making 10, 12 kids, I'm like, if that's your son, tell him that he's stupid. Jump in his, excuse my French, jump on his case for that. Like, don't just sort of act like it's okay just because that's your cousin. Because that's the thing, black folks, we don't like to critique each other. We don't like to challenge each other. And I think that that's to our detriment. It's all about the culture, man. And the last example I'll give on culture is this: Japan was obliterated in World War II. They dropped. That was the only places they dropped atomic bombs in the world. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, gone. 20 years later, Japan becomes once again one of the great economic powerhouses in the world. Why? Because they have a culture that is built on structuring businesses, on working hard, on keeping your money, on developing your institutions. So you can't keep Japan down because they're going to keep rebuilding just because. And that's what we have to do as a people.
But in order for us to rebuild with our economics as well, we got to rebuild our family structure too. Because when you compare yourself to the Japanese, they have, their mothers and fathers in the household. And, when you get married, you stay together. Just like even in our own culture, you got people that was married 40 and 50 years. It's not like something that was 2,000 years ago that happened. And I feel that when the breakdown of our family, it broke down a whole lot of things. And a lot of times we don't know how to spend money, how to save money, as you were stating, how to invest money. I talk to a lot of guys just like right now. I said, listen, brother, it's a good time to buy energy stocks because the oil prices are low and they're losing money. Jump on it right now. Get your TD Ameritrade account. So easy. That's the one I have. Get it. Put some money in. Buy. Like you said, you can do the $25 a week, like you said, and invest some money. And when you make some money, don't cash all out. Get you some stocks with dividends. That way you can get a couple little checks every 3 months. I mean, when we start talking like that, they were like, well, where you learn all that from? Who you been around? And then they start telling you, what you been around the white folks too much? Like, well, every time everything good, we got to be around white folks. That's another thing I can't stand.
I know that if talking about investing or being articulate or being thoughtful means you acting white, that's about the most cooniest mentality I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If you want to be a coon, they tell somebody they acting white just because they're intelligent. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No, intelligence is acting black. Thinking ahead is acting black. Investing in your future, that's acting black. And you're right, man. I mean, we teach about financial concepts at the Black Business School, and basically it's like, one of the things I have to tell people straight out is that there's no whites only sign on the stock market. Anybody can invest in the stock market. It's just that we are afraid because we don't understand it. We don't know what's going on. The other thing people think is that only rich people can invest in the stock market. That's not true. There's stocks you can buy for $1. There's stocks you can buy for $10. And so that same person who will easily drop 10 here, 20 here, 50 here, 200 here for some Jordans will somehow feel that they don't have enough money to buy in the stock market. So what I did with my students was I said, let's take a little field trip. Let's go to the stock market. I'm gonna open up my Ameritrade account. I'm with Ameritrade like you, and I'm gonna show you. We're gonna get in here. We're gonna buy. I think we bought like 20 shares of Radio One stock. Honestly, it's not even a great stock. The company hasn't done real well for a while. But I showed them. I said, look, it cost me what, $29, $30, and I now own 20 shares. And the thing about it, to me, the reason it's important, I encourage parents, like, buy your children a share stock, is because there's something about your mentality that changes when you own something. You know what I mean? When you tell your child, like, here's your share of stock, you're an owner, you're a business owner, you just feel some pride. You know what I mean? Like, you feel good. It's like when people own their house versus rent. How people that rent, they don't take care of the property. You know what I mean? People that own it, they take pride in it. They want to cut the little bushes, and because it ain't much, but it's mine. And I that has to be part of our culture. We have to take pride in what we own and not just the size of the paycheck. You see, and that's a mindset.
Correct, because that goes back to what you were saying. They be throwing all this money up, like say in the strip club, and you hear them there say they'll blow $100,000, or like that other young brother the other day, for instance, that came out of that bank and the police came up to him and all this other stuff. The black youngster kid.
Black youngster,
he's sitting there showing all this cash money, and I just got so upset. I'm like, why it always got to be our young black men doing this? He said he want to go buy a Mercedes. Wire transfers work. Why you want to walk around with that kind of cash for? What, so the goons come get you? Like, I even seen Floyd Mayweather. He likes to do that. Well, I could keep $1 million cash for what? A black card from American Express works. I'm pretty sure your banker will let you have some money. What is the problem? It's like we always got to show out for everybody. Then, like you said, you could kind of look at the cycle of a lot of our black men, especially athletes. They're going to get the money. They're going to blow it. They're going to have a bunch of kids from these women, get caught up on child support, get out of the league, didn't handle their business right, then be broke and be in trouble with child support, lose everything. It's like the same cycle every time. Entourages, you're paying for all these, dusty dudes. They're living their life off of you. I mean, it's just, it's sad. Like, I would, like, some of these guys would get mad, like big contracts to have. Well, I need more money. Like, I don't need that, man. Just let me have a meal. That's it. I don't need much.
Well, you know what, man? When you talk about athletes, it's like, you're right. I mean, a person who makes even modestly reasonable financial decisions, that person can take 5 million and turn it into 20, 30, 40 million. It's not that hard to do. And the thing about it is that with athletes in particular, you're talking about individuals who get more money than most corporations get. You are a walking corporation, and a corporation does not take its capital and throw it up at the club. You know what I mean? Like you don't do these sort of very ridiculous, insane things with your money and think everything's gonna be okay. Now here's the interesting part of it too, though. An athlete does not have to become frugal in order to build his multi-million dollar empire. All you got to do is have somebody that you trust that will take complete control of about 15% of your income. 15%, that's it. You know, if you're making 5 million a year, what 15% is, what, about 750,000 a year. I can show you equations that will prove that basically after 10, 15, 20 years, you're gonna have tens of millions of dollars in the bank just by investing that 750 a year every year consistently. And then if you want to blow the rest and be a complete idiot, that's fine. You know, and so to me, I think Shaquille O'Neal, for example, had the best strategy. You know, Shaq, what he did was, from what I understand, he took his money he made from the Orlando Magic, which was enough money for 3 generations, and he lived off of that for the rest of his career. All the other money went toward investments. Now Shaq makes more money after basketball than he made during basketball. That's what you're supposed to do. Mark Zuckerberg, who started Facebook while he was in college, which is a great example, a great template we can learn from. Mark Zuckerberg, this guy makes more money doing nothing than most billionaires make in an entire year. You know, of working. He makes more money sitting around doing nothing for a week than every NBA player makes for an entire season. You know, and that's because when you get that kind of capital, your money should be working for you. Period. And guys have to understand that.
That's correct. You know, you see guys like Warren Buffett. You know, he's widely known billionaire, and you know, you don't see him. They say he got a modest house. They still drive like an old school Lincoln. You know, but us, we got to go get 26 Bugattis and all this other stuff. We don't think about the future. And then what about our children? You know, it's like, I believe in the black community, we don't set up our children for success. You know how they say, well, shoot, I got you through high school, you're on your own. Like, no, you need to get your kids through college, set them up with a career. That way, you know, listen, daddy and mama did it for you. Now you are on your own, of course, with a research career as well. I see too many people just go to college, get a degree, and get out and only get a job that's like $30,000 a year. I'm like, there's no reason for you to go to college if you're not going to make 70 or 80 in your career, but you did not research to do that. So, and that does play along with the generational money problems that a lot of our people have, is that we don't set up our kids for the future. We don't teach them proper money management, which every child need to go through economics class, because I had that in high school. It was a choice, but I wanted that class. And it taught us how to read the stock market. It taught us about investments. It taught us about saving money. It taught us about CDs and how you get equity off of that. I mean, these are things that it should be mandatory for our children. And that's why a lot of times we stay behind financially. You know, sometimes say, oh, where do white folks do this? You know, I learned that some things is racism and some things is choices too. And a lot of times we don't make the right choices.
Man, you know, you hit the nail on the head. You hit so many points. You got me taking. I'm writing down little notes as you're talking, because you hit so many powerful points that that I think should be addressed. And we can start with the children thing. We actually created something called the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program to get parents to get their children basic financial literacy. And the reason we did it is because one of the things that people should understand is that the greatest gift you can leave your child in terms of an inheritance is not just your money, but your knowledge on how to make that money. It's so funny, man. I was talking right before I talked to you, man. I was talking to a guy who who's made some money, and he was talking about how he had to work hard from the street in order to become a millionaire, and so his children growing up in privilege, he had to train them to have the same work ethic and the same discipline he had to get wealthy, because he said, if I did not do that, they would be spoiled. He said, so I can leave them all my money, but they're gonna blow it because they're spoiled and entitled and don't know how to work hard. So I had to he said I leave my kids broke for a while, even though I protect them. I make sure they ain't gonna be too broke, but I let them stay broke for a while, work their way up, and then I help them out as they go along, so that when they finally get access to my wealth, they'll know what to do with it. They'll make good choices with it. So your knowledge is the best thing you can pass to your children. Also, just general simple ideas like teaching your children that you don't have to have a boss if you don't want one, that you can be your own boss. That's possible for you. It doesn't mean you have to do it, but what happens is you give them an escape valve in case they get out here in this economy and they find out that the white man ain't hiring like he should. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is. I mean, black folks, we get these degrees and we get all this education, and we still may not always get the salary we deserve, the opportunities we deserve, or get to work for the companies that should be opening the door for us. So ultimately, what you train your kids on, those very basic ideas, they're going to carry that with them for a lifetime, and that's what they're going to teach their kids. So you got to be thoughtful about that kind of thing. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because we definitely got to teach our kids. We was talking about the kids. A lot of times, the parents teach you, you just need to get a job. And one thing, I saw a story a while back, and it was about some Nigerian parents, and they sent their kids to college to work the business that they had. They didn't send them to college to go get a job for somebody else. It was specific on what they trained them on so they can come back and do what they have to do. And, I was talking to some other brothers about this. So, the Nigerians, whether they hustling or they doing it legal, they always have some money. And I'll be paying attention how the Nigerians right here in Houston got a lot of money. But it's the choices they make. Just had a Nigerian sister just opened up an emergency room right here. Okay. And we always see the Nigerians are just excelling. Now, can you explain to me, maybe more, why the Nigerians excel a lot more than the African Americans?
You know what, brother? That bingo again, man. Who was it? The woman that wrote the book. They call her the Tiger Mom. She talks about raising kids in a real disciplined way. Some people love her, some people hate her. She wrote another book where she was talking about cultures. Remember, I told you a lot of wealth building comes back to culture. She talked about the cultures that tend to do really well. The Nigerians were at the top of the list. She said Nigerians, among other things, she said what leads to Nigerians being successful all around the world, no matter what circumstances you put Nigerian families in, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna rise up out of that. They will stick together and build and grow something great. She said the things that distinguish them are, number one, just an extreme commitment to education. You can't. Most Nigerian families I know, and here we are, we're leaning on stereotypes, but this is a good stereotype, so I'm okay with this, man. But I don't know a Nigerian family where education is not paramount. But I can name a whole lot of families in my community where watching TV is always preferred to reading a book. And that drives me crazy. You know what I mean? People don't understand how watching TV shuts your brain down. Your brain does not. It's like trying to be an athlete and all you're doing is eating cupcakes and ho-hos all day. Like, it ain't gonna work. So that's the first thing she said. The commitment to education is extreme, and that's what leads to certain types of success. The other thing is they have pride. There's a sense of almost a sense of superiority, if you will, that if you're Nigerian, you're proud of where you come from. You're proud of your family. You're proud of the community from which you came. And African Americans, I don't think, have that sense of pride in each other. We're not that quick to stick together, not that quick to support each other. Sometimes we're quicker to be jealous of each other than we are to stick together. And then the other component you mentioned, if you go to Nigeria, from what I understand, I'm not an expert on Nigerian culture, but they don't really have like welfare and stuff that you can kind of lean on. It's like you're kind of out there on your own. So you see family units coming together, supporting each other economically. Family, from what I gather, is the most important thing in the Nigerian culture. So when you have that commitment to family, the value toward of education, that pride in yourself, then I think that lends itself very well to things like developing strong businesses, or just finding a way to make a way, or coming together in order to achieve and aspire. And I think black people, if we really want to learn how to take our culture to the next level, the Nigerian culture should be one that we study. We should study Jewish culture. We should study Asian culture, and even some elements of white culture. We can learn from some of that. I don't want to be a white man ever, but there are things that even the way America was built, we can learn from that.
Well, if you see someone doing something or culture, or just, I say this, I'm trying to research more in the African culture and what has gotten us to be in certain, positions. And like you said, the biggest thing we have, one of them, like you said, they have family. We have a lot of self-hate. We don't love each other. Our biggest issue, and I keep saying this, just if you love me like you love a white man, I'll be happy. Because like I'm gonna keep saying this, Dylan Roof go in there and kill you, and you forgive me. But if I step on your foot, you're ready to blow my head off. And you know that to be true. We don't forgive each other. We don't love each other. But a white man say something to you crazy. Oh, he was just having a bad day. I don't understand what's wrong with him. But I forgive him. But Boyce, you say something to another black person, or if Boyce this, Boyce that, his platform ain't nothing. It's all like, wow, really? And that is, and it's nothing to do with white people. What I'm saying, it's us as black people with the self-replicated slave mind that we have that gets us in trouble.
Well, the slave mentality is huge. I think that, and we got to remember that we were trained to be mentally ill. The conditions under which we were forced to survive for hundreds of years. It's hard not to breed just systemic mental illness from what we were put through. We were traumatized on a daily basis in slavery. I mean, just the horrible things that were done to us. And I think that we have to accept the idea that we really are trying to overcome the slave mentality. Everything in terms of how we treat each other, to how we adore our master. White supremacy is a two-way street. People don't understand that white supremacy really works. It only really works if we agree to it and if we support it and sustain it as much as the white man does. So as much as we want to look at him and what he's doing in all of this, we have to understand that there's a lot of black folks who are deeply committed to white supremacy. Also, without black folks sort of willing to kind of co-sign on pretty much any horrible thing a white man does, white supremacy is not nearly as effective as well. I mean, just let anything racist happen in our society. Usually the white person who's been accused of racism will always have a black person next to him. I mean, he could be a Klansman, he could do damn near anything, and there's always going to be a black person sitting next to him who's going to co-sign off on what he did. Like, remember when University of Oklahoma, when those frat boys were singing the song about what hang a nigger from a tree, and what happened? The guy went and he paid off some pastors, and they literally sat with this white dude at the press conference and hugged him and kissed him. And that's mental illness.
It's oh my God. When I see this stuff, boys, I'm like, my God. It's like sometimes I'm like, God, why me? Why sometimes I gotta be black? It's just the most weak thing to see that for me. Nobody else do that but us. It's like we gotta get on our knees and kiss the feet of a white man, and he didn't ask you to, and not in this day and time he didn't ask you to. It's just you automatically do it. You're an autopilot. Get on my knees, kiss the feet. Whatever he say is good. But if a black person say something, like I said, you're ready to kill him, ready to put a bullet in their head. It's just wow.
Well, I feel like we believe inherently that white people are like our parents. We really feel that way. And here's what's funny to me. And I mentioned this, man. I was actually I got a chance to be in the latest Hidden Colors movie, which if people haven't seen the trailer, it's really good. Tariq did a great job with the trailer anyway. And one thing that I remember kind of bringing up was I said, in an odd way, white people really, I think the reason that some whites are confused about allegations of racism and structural racism and all that is because I believe deep down they kind of have an adoration for us, kind of a love for us. We've been by their side for hundreds of years. And so there's kind of a love, like why would you be mad at me? What did I do to you? And the thing that we don't understand is that there's a difference between somebody loving you and somebody respecting you. I can really care about you as long as you understand the pecking order. You understand I'm driving the bus, you riding in the back. You know what I mean? It's like if you have a company, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm the CEO, you're the accountant, you work in the mailroom. If everybody knows their place, then we're good. The only time there's turmoil is when the guy in the mailroom says, wait, I should be the CEO. I'm as smart as you, right? Then I'm going to say, well, what's wrong with you? Wait, I've been paying you. I've been taking good care of you. Why would you treat me like this? And I feel that that's kind of what some whites kind of feel like. They have a loyalty to black people the way a master loves his dog. White folks love their dogs. They really love, they will go to war for their dogs, but they know that the dog is not the same as a child or the same as a spouse. The dog can't sit at the dinner table and eat with the family. And so ultimately for black folks, we have to learn that people will probably never give us permission to empower ourselves. People are never going to kind of say, we're never going to have all of white America say, okay, you know what, black folks, we want you all to love each other. In fact, we're going to set up our schools to teach your children how to love themselves as black people. That ain't going to happen. That's not in their incentive. We as black folks have to understand that we will be the ones to give ourselves permission to take what we want or to achieve the equality we deserve. And the thing is, it's not going to be easy because you live in a competitive global society. in a competitive situation, nobody gives anybody anything. When's the last time you played in a football game where the other team said, "Oh, go ahead and run through. You can have a touchdown"? No, they're gonna fight you every step of the way. And if you can't compete, then you will be seen as weak. So that's one of our challenges, is that as black people, we've not been trained to compete. We don't feel comfortable competing. We're worried about what other people think. We get mad. We'll say, "Oh, well, the white folks, we can't have our business because white folks won't let us do it." Well, whoever let you do anything that was really worth doing, right? So ultimately, we have to understand you cannot beg for equality. You really have to fight for it. If you ain't ready to fight for it, then you don't deserve it.
Well, see, now, Boyce, you sound like a reverse racist, Boyce. You can't be using those kind of terms. That word tripped me out when they tell that to me. You're a reverse racist. That's not even a term. I'm like, why are you making stuff up? Every time, like you're saying, let's create our own stuff. Let's do our own. It's like the moment you say you want to get away from their pecking order, as you say, all of a sudden they play reverse psychology and tell you you're racist because their words mean a whole lot more than the black person's words because your slave mind. You're going to say, yeah, you're right. Let me go ahead and fall back in line and do that. Now, my co-host, Tanya, she's a white lady, and she said that a lot of white people feel like they can micromanage black people's lives. They feel like that's what they're supposed to do. And they don't want black people away from them. I even had another white guy call the same show and agree with it and say, yeah, a lot of white people really don't want black people away from them. They just want to make sure they can control them. Because I always tell people this: white supremacy can only thrive on black inferiority, period.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I think that sometimes what I see, this is what bothers me a lot as a black man, is you see a type of paternalism that's kind of like almost the way a parent does kind of treat a child. That like you get that a lot from liberals. That's why I'm not really interested in trying to focus on Democrat versus Republican and all that, because what you see a lot of times, you see the Democrats will say, look, we're your only friends. We're going to help you. We helped you out on this and we support affirmative action. We supported Black Lives Matter. So you owe us. And so what will happen is when we say, well, no, on this particular thing, we're going to go in our own direction. We got our own sovereignty. We have our own ideas, our own community. They will feel almost betrayed. Like, why would you do this to me? Wait a minute. We're the ones who helped you people. And to some extent, I think black folks, because we positioned ourselves, as you mentioned, as inferior, almost like a charity case. You have people that will take up our cause and feel that they really have that right to micromanage us, or I'm going to lift you up by making you more like me. Right, and that's no different from what missionaries did when they would go to Africa and get the savages, and they say, "Oh, you want some food? Okay, we'll give you some food, but take this Bible, or let me preach to you, let me tell you this, and this." And it's unfortunate, because it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the Bible or anything wrong with a certain faith, but there is something wrong with somebody sort of positioning themselves in such a way that your progress is measured by how much you become like me. Like I'm not gonna say to you, like, well, you know what, man, hey, if you want to be a better person, you need to wear a white shirt like me. You know what I mean? You need to go to the same school. You need to do what I do, because what happens is you position yourself for perpetual inferiority, or you're perpetually to be second rate. Because if all you do is spend your whole life imitating white men, you'll never be as good at being a white man as white men already are. So you'll always be seen as like this uninvited guest into somebody else's home, or this person who's trying to match a standard that they'll never meet. For example, how often do you hear black folks brag about how so-and-so was the first black man to get into Harvard University or whatever? You hear it all the time. But you never hear a white man say, this white guy's one of our greatest heroes. He was the first white man to ever be accepted into Howard. Like that doesn't happen. Because they're not trying to become us, but we spend our whole lives trying to become them.
And it goes right back to what we say, the slave mentality. Everything that they do is just so great to us. Only time we feel validated, well, not we. Only time some of us feel validated unless they say, "Oh yes, good job. You made it. You're a good guy. You're a good lady." And I just shake my head at that, Boyce. I really do. Because it's usually because you have no knowledge of self, and even the education system, we're teaching our kids, they don't want us, like you say, to know anything, because once you enlighten, you can't easily be controlled with that thought process, in which that thought process is ingrained from all the way from preschool through even high school, that we are supposed to be, inferior. You look at the way they teach. All these great heroes they teach in school, like Christopher Columbus. Oh, he discovered America, and he came over with these boats. Just to romanticize Christopher Columbus instead of telling people that how that savage came over here and pillaged and raped and burned and killed and slaughtered and everything that he did. He said, I discovered America. I discovered this. Like, boys, how would you like me to go to your house right now and say, I discovered your house? I'm taking it. My house, not boy.
Man, that's
would you like me if I discover your house right now?
Oh, you know what? If I'm dumb enough to let you do that, then I deserve what I get, right? I mean, but you're right, though.
Well, with that situation with the Christopher Columbus, it's not even about dumb. Those people actually had it took them in. They thought they was, hey, we have to make peace with these people. Let them come through the teepee of peace and everything, and then they just slaughter those people. I mean, it's just that's why you ask Native American about Christopher Columbus, they'll look at you. I mean, with hating intent. Because for people to romanticize that savage, what other savages have we romanticized?
I think it's a great point. Man. I mean, if you kind of look at that, it's interesting because you can contrast that to even like, for example, today you have Bill Cosby kind of dealing with the backlash from these allegations of sexual assault. And at the same time, you have a guy like a Columbus who did all the raping and pillaging and all this other stuff back in the day, and he's glorified as a hero. And that kind of says something about the bias in terms of how people are portrayed based on race. And what I would generally say about the whole education issue is that I think that black people have to understand that we will never have a school system that will ever train our children to believe in their heroes. That's not our school system. I'd like for it to be, but it's not. We have to do that when our kids come home. When our kids come home, that's when you have to educate them that, for example, black history did not start when we got here on slave ships. That's how black history in public schools is pretty much taught like this. It says, you were slaves, and then Abraham Lincoln freed you, and then there was Martin Luther King, and then you got a black president. The end. Those are kind of the four major pillars of black history, and that's so unfortunate because we've done so many extraordinary things throughout history, and we can't let anybody steal that from us. But if you wait for somebody else to teach that to you, you're gonna just be waiting forever. Now you hit another good point about the heroes and the way people are portrayed, and I can't remember exactly where I was gonna go with that, but I will say, just overall, this validation issue, I think we've got to get past that. We've got to get past this idea, even with the whole debate over the Oscars and all this other stuff. Because we don't know who we are, as you mentioned, we do kind of look to the world to tell us who we are. And so with our children, we got to tell them who they are so that when other people try to define them in some other way, they're going to be able to reject that. They're going to say, no, that I'm not, you're trying to tell me I'm a thug. I'm not a thug because my mama and daddy told me I was a king. But if your parents never tell you you're a king and you're watching TV and the rapper says, I'm a thug nigga, then you're going to be like, yeah, I'm a thug nigga, right? That's what happens to a lot of our boys. And it's hurtful to us because that kid who's defining himself as a thug nigga really probably should have been a scientist, definitely a husband and father, maybe some kind of civil rights leader, but he's going to be none of that because the first person who grabbed his self-perception and shaped it told him he was a thug nigga, and that came through media or whatever. Or maybe the school teacher made him feel like he was a deviant. Like me, when I was in school, I used to get in trouble all the time. I thought, okay, I must be the class clown. I must be the bad kid. So I defined myself as the bad kid for a very long time. And so when I started actually doing well in school, like in college and stuff, I was like, man, like, I can't believe I'm doing so well in school because I was always the bad kid. But I never was the bad kid. I just had a school system that trained me to believe that that's who I was. So that's very important. We got to think about that stuff.
And it goes right back to what we just, the topic. All that stuff you're describing, we have a self-perceived notion that we have to spend all this money to live up to being that quote-unquote thug, whatever. And that lifestyle to come along with it, all the women and just living loose, getting in the child support system, 18 years of financial jail for you as a man. A lot of times I tell guys, look, if you the type of guy like to sling penis, get you, I don't know, you do something. Either wear protection, get a vasectomy. I suggest you get married and stick with one woman because there's too many diseases out there. They got super bugs. You don't know what you're getting out there. But it's not. But it's not good to tie yourself up with these people, because these people will lock you up in debtor's prison with their child support. They say they don't have debtor's prison in America, but that's a lie. They see these people. They say they don't have something when they learn. They know how to flip it where they can still do it to you. You know how, but this criminal justice system is.
Well, you're absolutely correct. One of the things I end up teaching my students a lot is that your family is your first small business. That's your first small business. If you manage that sloppily, then you'll never be able to do anything else, because you're going to spend all your time making up for the bad decisions that you made in the past. It costs $250,000 on average to raise a child to the age of 18. So every time you have a baby, that's an 18-year commitment, $250,000. And so when you got 7 to 8 kids, you're millions of dollars in debt already. The child support system is relentless. They don't care about keeping your family together. They only care about getting that money, and they will lock you up over that stuff, and not just lock you up, but ruin your life in a multitude of ways. You got all these kids you made in your 20s, then suddenly you get to be 32, 33, and you decide, I want to be a man, I want to get married and have children and move forward. That doesn't work the way you think it's going to work, because this spouse you have and these children you have are dealing with the fact that they're not getting a whole man, they're getting a piece of a man, because other people got pieces of you from back when you were in your 20s. You got all these children that have expectations from you, and you're going to disappoint them, so they're growing up with emotional trauma. My daddy wasn't there, my daddy was a bum, I hate my daddy, right? Which only sort of breeds more trauma in the long term. And then the financial part, I just know so many guys that are literally marginalized from the whole economic system because they run in and trying to hide from child support. So if you live in your life kind of on the run like that, barely getting by, how are you ever really going to build anything? I mean, men are supposed to be builders of empires. We're supposed to be kings and capable of just leading things, and you can't build nothing if you destroyed yourself before the game even began. So I agree with you. If you slinging penis and you having sex, and that's fine. I'm doing what you do. I'm not judging, but be very thoughtful about the implications of those choices. You can't be sloppy with it, and families have to step forward. If you a single mom and you got this son who's out here doing ridiculous stuff, you need to say something to him. Why would you somehow applaud your son's behavior when he's doing the things to other women that you're mad that other men were doing to you? Remember that man that you're complaining about, how he ain't taking care of his kids, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing that. That's somebody else's baby. That's so some mama out there thinking that her son is a good person. And I just think all of us have to understand our role in creating this intergenerational problem. I mean, of course, you talk about fathers as well. I mean, just all of us. It sort of recycles itself, and we have to see our role in this process.
Correct. I mean, it's so many issues we can go into, with, like I say, with the finances. I'm pretty sure we could talk probably 6-7 hours about what we could do to fix the finances. But can you give us at least maybe 3 to 5 right now solutions to fix, finances within our personal life, something that's practical, before we wrap it up?
Yes. One thing that I teach in the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Boot Camp is what I call the cost model of getting your freedom. Because the black people that come to us, that come into our class, tend to be people who are just tired. You know what I mean? They're just like I don't even have to explain to them why they hate their job. They already have their own reasons. You know what I mean? They already have experienced the racism. They've already experienced what it's like to be a financial slave, what it's like to be stuck in your own life. So what I tell them is, I say, look, when you talk about freedom, freedom is something that comes with responsibility. Once you obtain a certain type of freedom, you can't sort of declare your independence from your master but still come back to your master asking for a paycheck. It don't work. There's one really radical lady I know, she gets on YouTube and she'll say these crazy things about white people. Mad, right? And I'll be like, it's okay for you to be mad, but why are you going back to that same white man asking him to pay your bills every month? Like, that's a contradiction, because I'm not going to pay your bills and let you talk smack about me. Nobody does, right? So ultimately, freedom has a price. And if you're not willing to pay the price, then some say you don't deserve that freedom. So basically what I do is I have a model that we call the cost model of freedom, and it's an acronym, COST. And I say that, look, if we want to build an empowered community that's economically free, we have to pay the cost. What does the C stand for? The C stands for contribute. and what that means is that every person of color should contribute 2 to 7% of their monthly income to some black institution other than their church. You can give money to the pastor, but also give money to that community center, to that HBCU, to that little league, or whatever it is you believe in. Understand your role in supporting institutions that are black, because if we don't support our own institutions, other people will buy those institutions. So whenever you see, like if it's NAACP, anybody, when you see them do things that don't make any sense, follow the money. It's because the corporations are the ones that are paying their bills, so they're gonna do what they're gonna do what the corporations tell them. The O stands for ownership. Every black person in America must own something, even if it's one share of stock, a blade of grass in your front yard, whatever it is that you want to own something. Think in terms of ownership. Don't brag about the size of your paycheck from a job that you don't own. Brag about what you own that is actually yours, that you can give to your children. When your children are the age of 3, 4 years old, they should already own a share of stock, and maybe own even more, so that they understand the mentality of ownership. The S stands for save and invest. You save your money so your money can save you. You invest your money so your money can work for you. Anybody can invest in the stock market. It doesn't cost more than a pair of shoes. The T stands for target. When we get our money, we must understand our money is our power. You don't give all your power away. So when you spend money, you target black businesses. You understand that when you target black businesses, you're feeding black families. Our business, we employ about 30 black people. Most of them got kids. So, when I'm out here hustling, I sell a book and I got some black dude who's mad, like, why ain't your book free? If you care about the black community, you should give it away for free. I'm like,
I can't stand that stuff from black people. Now, hold on, boys. I gotta
go ahead, please.
I can't stand that stuff because when that hook a brother up syndrome, hook a brother up, hook a sister up. But when Nike tell you $250 for these Jordans, you don't say, "Oh man, come on." You got to shell all that cash out, no matter who it is. You shell it out, but to your brother and your sister, it's always you want a discount. I can't stand that stuff.
Well, you know what, man? It drives me crazy too because first of all, if you want me to hook you up, number one, if I'm selling you my book, I'm hooking you up with knowledge and education, which you should be willing to invest in. I'm hooking you up with good customer service, and I'll probably hook you up with a discount. You know what I mean? If you ain't got it, okay. If we could take 20% off the price, we'll work with you. You know what I mean? But if you want me to hook you up with charity, what you're really saying to me is that you're not really ready for the information I'm trying to share with you anyway, because you see yourself as a charity case. You're not even willing to invest in your own learning. And if you're not willing to invest in you, then why do you expect other people to invest in you? Right. Seriously, like, why would I ask you, I say, hey man, invest in me, invest in my business, and you say, well, how much have you put in the business? I say, oh, I ain't put nothing in it. Well, then why would you invest in something where I'm telling you that it's not worth investing in? Right? So ultimately, we have to stop thinking of ourselves as a charity case. Mm-hmm. See, we get a lot of that from the liberals, to be honest with you. They really teach us that black people can't have nothing unless somebody is paying the bill. No, we can pay for us. If you can buy your child a pair of $100 shoes, then you can buy your child a $12 book or a $20 DVD that's going to educate them for life. That's insane to me. So ultimately, the targeting component comes in the sense that we must understand that 1.1 trillion that we have to spend. You could buy literally 1,000 NFL football teams for that amount of money. You could buy CBS, NBC, and ESPN and still have $1 trillion left over. So that's a lot of money, and we cannot just sort of throw it out sporadically. We must target our own businesses, because that's how we create our jobs, and that's how we get from begging and borrowing to actually building. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, because when you have a business and you want to do what you can for the community and hire as many as you can to give people second chances and stuff like that. Say if a brother or sister get out of prison and you can see they change their life around. They say a black business would hire a person out of prison a lot faster than white-owned businesses. And so why don't you support those businesses? Like you said, give 2 to 7% of your income to a business, or, I would say give it to businesses or community outreach a little bit more than some of these churches. And the reason why I say that, because if that church is not out there in the community, you don't see them, you don't know pastor, whoever, you don't see him doing nothing, then what you giving him money for? What, for the next Bentley? No. Give it to people you see out here doing something that could possibly be beneficial to our community, because the church collects billions of dollars, and where does it go? I'm not against the church at all. No, I'm not. But I'm saying you have to look at what you're doing. You know what they say, the definition of insanity: keep doing the same thing, expect a different result. Well, we on that hamster wheel. It's the same thing constantly. All the billions of dollars that's collected every Sunday. Why don't we turn that into, you know what, let's invest some of these billions into these brothers and sisters to start some businesses, or ones that's just trying to grow but they can't get the capital. Let's go ahead and give it to them. Because one thing Donald Sterling said, I never forget that. He said, Jewish people give money to people in their community to start businesses or help them grow their businesses with no interest. See, people didn't pay attention to some of the things Donald Sterling was saying. I said, wow, listen to that. That just went over everybody else's head.
Wow. Well, that if you want to know the key solution to the black unemployment problem, it's right there with what you just said. With what Sterling's words. We need incubative spaces where black businesses can grow and build. We need places where the young, when a black Mark Zuckerberg comes along and shows computing genius, and he's working in his dorm room all night developing the next Facebook, which eventually became worth a third of $1 trillion. The question is this: how are we going to nurture that young genius? What are we going to do when he's looking to his elders to give him advice on his next move? What are we going to tell him? Are we going to say, you know what? Hey, we've got this incubator over here. We can raise 100,000 in capital to help you get off the ground. We're going to also bring experts to support you. We want you to keep ownership of this so that it grows into something great. Or are we going to say, ooh, you good with computers? You can go get a job at IBM. They'll pay you $200,000 a year. Do you understand? Because that's what happens with so many of our. See, that's the thing. If Mark Zuckerberg had been a black man, Facebook would not exist. Mark Zuckerberg would be some guy working at a computer company bragging about how he's making $200,000 a year and is driving a Porsche, right? And that's the thing. It's about how you think. The mentality is everything. And so ultimately, when we have those incubator spaces, when we're bringing together capital to support black businesses, what you're going to see is multi-billion-dollar companies come out of this. In fact, the next fundraiser we're going to do is going to be, as soon as equity-based crowdfunding is legalized in next month, we're going to do a fundraiser where we are going to try to raise at least 100,000, maybe more, depending on how much people want to get behind it, where everybody will own a share, and we're going to put this money into buying some land and some buildings and form an economic incubator so that black entrepreneurs with the best ideas can come to the incubator space, get good ideas from other experts, also get capital to get their business off the ground. And I guarantee you, when you do that, you'll see multi-billion-dollar companies come out. White folks are doing that in Silicon Valley. Look up the Y Combinator. That's exactly what they do. And that is what will solve the black unemployment problem. It's not going to come from begging other people for a job. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm sick of begging. I'm sick of it. That's why, when you hear the Republicans talking about welfare, I say, you know what? I wish they get rid of it today, because I think welfare just hurt us. It hurt too much. It hurt us. Because we doing a whole lot better before all that mess came along. But you definitely came up with a lot of great ideas that people that want the information could go on now. Dr. Boyce, can you give us, before we wrap up, where people can find you, your classes, things like that?
Well, people can, the class that everybody loves is the Black Wealth Boot Camp, and that's at the blackwealthbootcamp.com. Also, the blackbusinessschool.com is where I do a lot of my teaching. And we have a ton of classes there, and basically we established it as a low-cost, high-quality alternative to going to these expensive universities. We have a lot of people, as you talked about earlier, that are going in debt from going to universities, and they're not even getting the jobs that they want. We tend to have faculty who have all the expertise, but also have a lot of experience, like guys like Damon Dash and others teach there. But then we also have professors who taught at major universities like Noma Langam, Mushali Moses, stuff like that. And basically, the goal is to teach black people how to build. Our motto is don't just climb the corporate ladder, build one. So we're all about building for the next generation. So come to the blackbusinessschool.com. In fact, you can join that for free, and the classes have such a low cost that the trade-off is amazing.
And no discounts. Go ahead, pay the So he does not have a hooker brother up discount section on the thing, or do you?
Well, you know what? If people express hardship, like if they really ain't got it, we work with you. You know what I mean? We work with you. It's not we don't have, it's not like a university with financial aid and loans and all that. But we don't mind giving discounts periodically. Sometimes we actually have donors that will say, I want to pay for 10 people to take this class,
Okay.
so we offer tremendous value, man. I mean, and then we have a money back guarantee for 30 days. So, because we have that much faith in it. 10,000 people have joined so far. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, so we see a revolution, we see a revolution of black people that are just tired of the same old stuff, that
Mhm.
want to move to the future, man. And that's who we appeal to.
Oh, that's great to hear. It's being successful, and hope more of you join Dr. Boyce in his Black Wealth Boot Camp and learn how to handle your money the right way, so you can use your money as a tool to get further ahead in life. So we definitely want to know your comments. Leave them below, and make sure you subscribe to Boyce Watkins' YouTube channel. We'll put the link in the description box, and also you guys, subscribe here as well. And
Yes.
thank you for watching.
Thank you, brother. The pleasure was all mine.